Simpson, Kalen DeBoer, and the Alabama Crimson Tide take on Kirby Smart, Gunner Stockton, and the Georgia Bulldogs in the SEC championship game. It does not get any better than this. We have a first round bye on the line for the Georgia Bulldogs. For Alabama, it's interesting in what their seeding would be, but we do know this. They are at risk if they lose this game, and let's say BYU wins their title game, they might be out. So this is very important for Alabama to guarantee themselves playing into the college football playoff, and who knows, they might find themselves jumping over Georgia with a win in this game, because that would be 2 wins on the season over the Dogs. You can't have Georgia the higher seed if they had beaten them twice. So a huge game for seeding into the playoff. Now, Alabama has beaten Georgia 10 of the last 11 matchups, 3 in a row. All 4 of the times these two teams have squared off in the SEC title game, it has gone to Alabama. Now, this is the first time Kalen DeBoer has faced this Georgia Bulldog team, as he being the head coach in the SEC title game, so that makes it a little bit different. But Kalen DeBoer is 2-0 against the Georgia Bulldogs. It was made out to seem like it was a Nick Saban problem for Kirby Smart, but I honestly think that most people would say it's just an Alabama problem overall. Who hasn't had an Alabama problem for the last 100 years? It's been the best program in all of college football, but Georgia, they've got an argument that they have been the best team in college football for the last 5 to 6 years here. After all, they won it when it mattered a couple years ago, and they lost the SEC title game to the Tide, but they beat them in the national championship game. Let's put it in simple terms. These two teams hate each other. It's going to be a great game. Where it starts is in the trenches. You look at 2 SEC teams, all of the talent that they have, 30 NFL players littered across these rosters. It's the trenches. I'm looking at Deontay Lawson, a linebacker, Justin Jefferson, a linebacker for the Tide. How do they fare in getting after the rushing attack? Nate Frazier, because that's where it comes. Gunner Stockton, Nate Frazier running the football for Georgia. This Georgia team, they have a rushing the football, pound it down your throat type mentality that they feel like they can establish in this game. We think about that matchup earlier on in the season. They ran the football for 230 yards, 7 yards a carry. Chauncey Bowen's going off. Explosive run for Dylan Bell. Frazier a bit more limited. Gunner Stockton more limited, but a number of guys, they were trying misdirection, counter. It was going all over the field. Georgia having success with the run game, and it was Alabama who had success in the passing game, but it all stems from the trenches. That offensive line for Georgia, and them being able to protect their quarterback in Gunner Stockton, as well as get a push up front. And how do they fare against a guy like Tim Keenan that's fully healthy? LT Overton, This is a defense in Alabama that I would say is playing by far their best defense of the entire season, and frankly is playing like one of the better units in all of college football. And that's not to say that Georgia isn't doing that as well. That's what makes this game so great, is that typically when you get this matchup, these conference title games, these teams are playing their best football. And maybe both of their rivalry games this past week didn't go the way they wanted, in the sense of just dominating a team that was motivated to come out and beat you, 1-score games. Both of them win by 7 points. Georgia beats Georgia Tech 16-9. They'll take the win, but there were expectations of a different type of style to beat that Georgia Tech team. And then for Alabama, being up 17-0, and then an absolute dogfight, it comes down to a 4th down and 2 inside the 5. You don't convert that, your entire season is on the brink. Auburn could have gotten the ball. Ashton Daniels with a chance to kick a game-winning field goal. Instead, Isaiah Horton with the reception touchdown. The SEC this season has been a massive circle of teams being able to beat up on each other, come up with wins all over the place. For a pristine example of this would be not looking any further than the Oklahoma team, right? Oklahoma lost to Ole Miss. Ole Miss lost to Georgia. And we look at Oklahoma, Well, they beat Alabama. So there's a whole transitive property happening here where it's just any given Saturday. It's a lot like the National Football League. It is any given Saturday in the Southeast Conference. We've known that for a while, but I got to be honest with you. I don't know who the best team in the SEC is. My gut right now tells me Georgia. It tells me that Alabama is a very good team that lost to Florida State. We've seen lulls at times from this offense or this defense, and they haven't looked the full part of what they've done in those other 11 games throughout the stretch where they've had struggles. Like the offense disappeared against Auburn for a majority of like the last 8 minutes in that second quarter and throughout that third quarter there, and struggling to move the football. And then against Oklahoma, the passing attack struggling mightily. And for Alabama, I'm concerned with the inability to run the football like their first matchup against the Bulldogs. They don't have Jam Miller. Jam Miller looks to be done for the season, most likely. The lower leg injury, it did not look good. He was in crutches, so he's not available for this game. He was a key contributor against Georgia in that first game. Look, maybe they didn't run the football all that well, but they still had balance. They ran the football 38 times. Kadyn Proctor had that carry in that game. Ty Simpson had 4 carries in this game. He had a rushing touchdown in a major way. The run game was very important for them to be able to keep Georgia on their heels so that they weren't able just to sit back in zones and defend the pass. Because let's be honest, that's exactly what Auburn did. Auburn was not threatened whatsoever for the most part by that rushing attack. Alabama ran the football well, and Auburn made a commitment to try and essentially have dare Alabama to run the football on them. What will that do? It's going to drain that clock, longer possessions. It's going to take you a lot longer, and it's going to require you to be fully consistent to execute. And what do we know? Ty Simpson in those windows did not have a great day. 122 passing yards, 19 of 35, a little bit over 50% completing. Alabama did not have a very good offensive day, and yet they put up 27 points against a very good defense. Xavier Atkins, Keldrick Falk, we're talking about a great Auburn defensive team that has been good against the run, and they still had 160 yards on the ground for Alabama because they took what Auburn gave them and they ran the football well. Those 83 yards, 5.5 a carry for Jam Miller, though, they are going to miss that against the Georgia Bulldogs. I got to tell you, Georgia has a decent enough matchup in this game, but again, history is always important in this one. Mentality is huge. This isn't Georgia versus Texas where they beat them the last 3 times. In Georgia, Alabama, it's almost like a flip here where Alabama has a certain ability where they can convert on third down or they get a stuff on 4th and 1 on their defense on Georgia. You think back to that last SEC title game where Brock Bowers was not healthy. Georgia had like, what was it, a 28 game winning streak, the back-to-back natties in a 12-0 season, and then the opening drive touchdown. Except for that, Alabama, I believe, had 2 separate 10-point leads. They're up like 27-17 or 17-17 as well in that game. They were in full control. Jalen Milroe running the football quite well in that matchup. So I know that there's a lot of history between these two teams and that there's absolutely no love lost at all between them. What excites me the most here, though, is going to be the explosive plays in the passing game. Because we know that both these teams have a capability to be clutch, right? Ty Simpson, 4th and 2, that touchdown pass. I think the key moment for all Georgia fans this year was 4th and 8, down by 8, and Stockton with that passing touchdown. Those are 2 pivotal plays. For Alabama, their season's on the brink. For Georgia, that's a road win at Tennessee that really showed the country, all right, Georgia's still Georgia. Georgia is still a darn good football team. This is still a great football team that is going to be tough to kill, and the only team that killed them was Alabama. And Georgia was able to fight off a team like Florida earlier in the year, able to fight through that one against Ole Miss, who just would not go away. That was a crazy game. 5 straight touchdown possessions, and Georgia hangs in there. And this offense does not get enough credit. The way that they can play bully ball, whether that be Nate Frazier, whether it be Gunner Stockton keeping the ball with his legs and running it, and what he provides. My only concern is, as of late, and what they look like against Georgia Tech this past week, only mustering 16 points against not a great Georgia Tech defense, and Gunner Stockton passing for a total of 70 yards overall. That's not exactly the type of momentum or energy that you want going into the biggest game of the season here. I liked the run game against Georgia Tech. Look, it was something that was consistent. Frazier's one of those guys. There's an argument that he's the best running back in the SEC. I'll hear that all day long against Alabama in that defensive front. I'm fascinated. I really believe that Gunner Stockton, his importance in this game with his legs is frankly pretty crucial. In the first matchup, he wasn't really a major factor utilizing his legs, maybe 25 rushing yards. In the biggest moments this season, when they've needed a first down or they needed Gunner Stockton to go out and create and to escape, he has been able to produce and to do that. You've been able to rely on that ability of Gunner Stockton as well as just clutch. You look at the way that Gunner played just a few weeks ago against Texas. You just can't draw a better football. Again, Texas does have a great defense. You just saw what they did to Texas A&M and beating them. Well, Gunner Stockton, 24 of 29. He's got 5 incompletions to 4 touchdowns on the game to Texas, to the Texas Longhorns defense. I mean, that is phenomenal. And then we look at the way that their defense stopped the run. They allowed only 23 yards on the ground to the Texas Longhorns, who their entire DNA supposedly, or what they go by, is tough. Built tough, and they have a total of like 25 yards rushing in that game. And Georgia's able to dominate the line of scrimmage and out-coach Sarkisian and Kwiatkowski and company, and Kirby Smart puts on a master class. So this is all to say here that we're looking at a Georgia Bulldog team that has got full belief. Now, in any sort of, it's not a full-on rivalry between these two teams. They've just been so great. You can call it an ultimate rivalry because they've met and in national championships, and SEC title games, regular season. You see each other so often that, yes, it absolutely is a rivalry, but not in the traditional sense, in the rivals that they do have, where there's a hatred. I don't think that Alabama fans really hate Georgia the way that Georgia fans do, but there's a definite, clear respect that both of these programs, the coaching staffs, have for each other. Because look, the SEC has run through Tuscaloosa. It has run through Athens for the last 2 decades. There's no doubt about that. It has been these two teams. You look back to that one year, Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and Justin Jefferson, and that was it. Besides the run for LSU, it has been dominated by the Alabama Crimson Tide and the Georgia Bulldogs. And this is one of those moments. Like, Georgia hasn't been to the semifinals in 2 years. Alabama, you look back to the 2023 season and them getting beat by Michigan with a physical style in overtime, and last year, the late loss to Oklahoma on the road. Kalen DeBoer is just trying to look to get in the college football playoff and to seal himself in a position for the program, for the fan base, to fully trust him. I personally believe a win in this game gives that full trust. Now, I do see a possibility, like Alabama could lose, let's say, in the quarters of the college football playoff, but the season would be viewed as success by Alabama fans winning the SEC. Second year with Kalen DeBoer, Ty Simpson, first year as the starting quarterback. I know he was in the conversation for the Heisman Trophy for quite a bit there before the loss to Oklahoma. There'd be talks of does he come back and you'd be a bona fide national title contender the next season if he did. And you still got Ryan Williams. So there's an opportunity there. Not getting ahead of ourselves, but that's what Alabama's working with right now. This game is key to them. I would say that this game is honestly more important for Bama. I know they've won 3 in a row, but because of the fact that they're not a shoe-in to make the playoffs even right now, you shouldn't be punished for a loss here. But BYU, we talk about that. So that's the importance in this game. And I have a feeling that Alabama, there's a sense of tightness in this one. In the beginning, the very, very beginning against Auburn, there was a sense of tightness. They opened it up. The turnovers in Auburn wasn't able to play clean football. Alabama was there to capitalize. But the second that Auburn applied a bit of pressure and was able to get a couple stops, the offense just freezed up for Alabama. They had a massive drive there, really, on that touchdown drive. That's one of the most famous drives in the history of the Iron Bowl now. We're going to be talking about that one for a generation. An 8-minute drive taken up from the 12-minute mark to the 4-minute mark to go down there, score a touchdown, and who knows what Alabama does with the rest of their season. That was led by Simpson. That was led by the offensive line. That's led by Parker Brailsford in the interior leading them, and Kadyn Proctor on the left side in protecting his quarterback. And Isaiah Horton, he had 3 receiving touchdowns in this game, and them finding a way to get that interception in the, I guess it was late third quarter, and then forcing that fumble, attacking, getting after the quarterback, applying the pressure necessary to find themselves to win a tough game at Jordan-Hare. Look at the last 3 matchups that have happened at Jordan-Hare. There's the overtime game, there's the Jalen Milroe play, and then there's this past game. So all the games at Jordan-Hare, they're just again, they got a little bit of a different sauce. And for Georgia, we're not overlooking them and them battling Georgia Tech, who's tough. 8 overtimes a season ago. This game that they just overcame. Look, I'm trying to figure a team that I've got a sort of a lean on here, and I see this thing going both ways. That's why it's a 1.5 point spread right now. Georgia's favored by 1.5 points. That means that people have pretty much no clue who they think wins this game. Now, my slight lean is to Georgia because I've liked what they have been able to do running the football. I think that they have a ceiling that's a little bit higher than Bama, because Bama, at their best this year, it's been done a bit of the run game, but it's Ty Simpson creating. That's exactly the way it went in their first matchup. Ty Simpson, 275 yards and 2 touchdowns, but they ran the football for 3 yards a carry. The defense doing enough to limit Stockton, only 130 yards. Georgia ran the football for 230 yards. I think that Gunner Stockton in this offense, and what we've seen from Gunner since that game, is an ability to push the football down the field. Too Young, to Humphreys, to Zachariah Branch, to attack the seams, to take your one-on-one opportunities, to extend plays. This is a very good Georgia team. Now, you compare them to last year or 2 years ago, sure, they're right in that conversation. This team, despite all of that narrative last year, they won the freaking SEC. The year before that, they were in the SEC title game. They won the Natty back-to-back years before that. Georgia has been there each of the last the half decade. This has been that team. And yet, Alabama people are still confident. That's just what this fires me up about this one, that I feel like Georgia is the team I'm leaning with in this one, but you can fully see the other argument and understand that. So coming to understand different points of view and be able to just weigh them against each other. Now, I said I think that Alabama and their passing attack, without Jam Miller, that's trouble. I think that the line could even move a 0.5 point solely because of that, and the way that Alabama struggled to run the football in over half their games. One of the worst rushing offenses in the Southeast Conference. Georgia has an ability to lean on that ground game. Ty Simpson had some great runs. There's no doubt. He had a couple of great runs against Auburn. He's done it the whole season. He's a lot more athletic than people give him credit for. All the attention goes towards Gunner Stockton's ability to extend plays and create with his legs. But Ty Simpson's incredibly underrated with his ability as an athlete. But I know that run game will be able to continue on into this matchup from Georgia. Do I think they run for 230? No. But I can see them running for 150 a heck of a lot easier than I see Ty Simpson being able to replicate 275, 2 touchdowns coming out. Alabama got up, 14-0, just like that in that game, 7-0, and they wind up not scoring in the second half. It was an interesting second half there, not being able to score, that adjustment that Georgia made. What type of half does Georgia have in the first half? Do they start slow? Is there at any point a game where the Georgia Bulldogs, not against a team like Charlotte, but against a very good team, and is going to jump up and get out to a great start? Against Texas, lowered. Look, they're up 14-3 at the half. You felt pretty dang good. Became 14-10. You killed them in the fourth quarter. Fourth quarter, Georgia, arguably the best team in college football in the fourth quarter. I don't know if you're going to have an argument that there has been a better team. The game against Alabama came down to that 4th and 1, 4th and 2. LT Overton shoots a gap, makes a play. Georgia fans are still upset with Bobo in that play call and thought that they should have kicked the field goal. But that's how you live and die in this conference with Kirby Smart, with an aggressive, we're going to go out there and try to win this game and not play not to lose type mentality, because that's what champions do. That's what winners do. They play fearlessly. They believe in themselves. That's that confidence. That's what Kirby Smart's team has. And then you've got this quarterback, Gunner Stockton, with this run game behind him. He's able to rely. Now, Ty Simpson, his throws in the middle of the field, I don't know if there's a better thrower of the football between the hashes than Ty Simpson in terms of the pace, timing, accuracy at times can come and go. Now, that's pivotal in a game like this, because one throw that's a little bit high, that can cost you an SEC title. One throw, timing's off, and that pass is intercepted. Instead of being able to complete that ball and it's first down and 10 inside the red zone, and it's tipped and picked off, first down for Georgia the other direction. Those types of plays change games. It's points off the board. It leads points the other way. That's a 10-point swing potentially. So who do I have more faith in as a passer? Ty Simpson. Who do I have faith more of as a quarterback in this game to have success because of what is around them? Gunner Stockton. To further accentuate my point, Ryan Williams has had a strange season. There's no sort of dancing around the bush with that. It started off against Florida State with him getting banged up and missing time, coming back and playing well, but he has had nowhere near the year that was expected. We were expecting 12 touchdowns, 1,000 yards receiving, Ryan Williams to be a Bolitnikoff finalist, maybe even win that darn trophy, and that hasn't happened. Now, health hasn't really been the full concern, but he was only on the field for half their snaps, 36 of 73 snaps against Auburn. No targets, no catches. It's the first time in his career with Bama that he has not been targeted in a game. So there's just a lack of chemistry right now working with him and Ty Simpson that gives you a lot of confidence. I feel a lot more confident about the connection with Horton and Simpson, about Germie Bernard, who's been that go-to guy throughout the entire year, catching it from the slots, going over the middle, taking shots in the red zone. Germie Bernard has been a do-it-all type player. But if Ryan Williams had shown a reliable factor throughout the whole year, I would say Alabama. I would be a lot more confident. I know we're singling into a wide receiver, but that's how good, that's how elevated that ceiling is when Ryan Williams is that difference maker and he can have that type of impact. This isn't the type of game that we're going to forget now what he did to Georgia last year. He had this game, and that's what put Alabama #1. They got up 27 or 28 to nothing. Ryan Williams basically doing it all himself in that game against the Dogs, and that was the Ryan Williams game. That was the game that basically made this kid a superstar. He was known by a lot of people then, but then he was known by everybody after that performance. And since that game, he's been a known commodity. So what does that mean? Defenses know we have to find a way to take #2 out of the game. We just cannot allow Ryan Williams to beat us. We're not going to let #2 to beat us. So if that means that we're going to play outside leverage and force him into the middle part of the field and to catch the football further inside and almost funneling him towards the safety, or he's going to take a bigger hit, or he's not going to have the protected sideline, or he's going to have to funnel towards the linebackers and catch the football over the middle. Listen, the guy's not Devontae Smith. And I know there's only one Devontae Smith that won that Heisman Trophy Award, national championship, single-handedly dismantling the Buckeyes in the COVID year in the national championship game. But that's not Ryan Williams' skill set. He's not a guy that goes over the middle. Out in space, getting the football on the perimeter, where he can use his elusiveness and his quick twitch ability and making guys miss in space, being able to stride and pick up yards and to separate, right? Being able to use his length and his contested ability is an underrated part of his game. And out on the outside, you just thought that this would be the opportunity this past week against Auburn to be like, all right, he's got to rely on to have no targets. I was befuddled by it. So I'm going to say Ryan Williams, I don't know. He's a bit of a wild card in this one where he could flip the needle if he has a big day. But without that, I'm looking on the other side of Georgia. I know what I have in Georgia. I know I'm looking at 24 to 27 points from them. Question is, defensively, how do they hold up stopping Simpson? That's what it comes down to. This is going to be a tight game. There's no universe where Bama blows out Georgia or Georgia blows out Alabama in this game. It's just not going to happen. The two teams are too evenly matched. The coaching is too good between DeBoer and Smart. And the quarterback play is just too solid to see an array of turnovers out of nowhere to just happen on this big of a stage. The game plan will be set in stone to the part where they're going to be protected from a manner of play calling for Grubb to get Ty Simpson completions early in this game. That's pivotal. And for Georgia and Gunner Stockton to run the football early to allow Gunner Stockton to settle in and not be in 3rd and 11, 3rd and 9, and having to create all by himself. Whereas it will be on Ty Simpson earlier in this game. But remember, extension of the run, quick passes out in the flats underneath, utilizing his great passing ability for Simpson and the underneath throws and velocity to his advantage against this Georgia Bulldog defense. I think Georgia wins this game. It's very tough for me to pick this one because of everything that I've gone into in this video. I'm looking at a game I believe that will be a bit of scoring. 29-27. Georgia Bulldogs get the win at Mercedes-Benz and win the SEC once again. Now, do I see a path to victory for Alabama? And what is it? And then I'll go into fully the emphatic point of why Georgia wins. The path to victory for Alabama is stopping the run at a very high level and containing Gunner Stockton. And in the red zone, coming up with a big stop. You're up 14-10, and you sack Gunner and you force him to kick 3 instead of him getting away, and they go up 17-14. Early third quarter, late second quarter of this game, those types of plays. It's also an explosive run, or it's Ryan Williams stepping up to the plate and delivering a big play when you thought, wow, I didn't expect it. We have a great player like this, and we almost didn't even think it was going to be an availability to have that big play. I think there's an element of Ryan Williams. If he's a major factor, Alabama wins because he's that type of special talent. And then it's defensively, red zone. Third down, we know Georgia is going to be tough there. I think it's in the red zone. If Georgia goes 2 for 4, touchdown to field goal, they win. If it's 3 or 4, they lose. For the Dogs, excuse me, they run the football the way they did against Alabama, they win. I don't think that Ty Simpson will come out here and play to that type of level in the way that he did. I would love to see it. I'd love to see that caliber game. And then it's Gunner Stockton being him and not doing too much beyond what he's just shown the entire season. And defensively, it's a takeaway. It's a tip ball. It's forcing a fumble on a Ryan Williams or getting the ball out of Ty Simpson's hand, like Oklahoma did. The pick six, interception, forced fumble. It's the takeaway, and it comes down to that. If they get a big takeaway and they can get points off of it and be opportunistic, get those points, I see a path to victory for Georgia, because if they're in this game and it's tight and it's tied, or they got the ball down by 3 and there's 94 seconds left for them to score, they got a timeout and they need a touchdown, I believe they can do it. Gunner Stockton has a minute to go be able to do that. And the run game will keep them in this game. They can't get down big. Alabama can play this game from behind. Alabama could get down by 13 or by 10 in the fourth quarter, and you could still have confidence they come back in this game. Georgia, they can't be down more than 7 in the fourth quarter. This team is built to be within striking distance. All right, against Ole Miss, they were in striking difference. In Alabama, fighting at the end, they were in striking distance in that game. Florida, they're right there the whole game. That last possession, like 3-point game, they're still there. Florida could have kicked the field goal, made it, a 6-point game. Still, they would have the chance to do the same thing they did, which is go score a game-winning touchdown. So it's doing what they do. They run the football just the way they did against Bama again, and they're able to get a big takeaway. So I'm going to keep it with that. Let me know down below in the comments who you think wins this game. Do you agree Georgia gets the win, or do you ride with Alabama? Thank you so much for watching this Blitzful Blender video. I make NFL college videos every single week. I appreciate you guys so much. Conference championship games are here. We're fired up about that. This is the exact best time of season. Conference championship games. The college football playoff is coming up next. The NFL playoffs are coming up. So I appreciate you so much for watching these videos. My name is Josh Blender. I love making these. If you have not already, please subscribe for more content in the future, and I will see you guys next time.